Live from the local station, News 4 Jax starts now.
Right now at 5:30, the harbor pilot on board the Golden Ray when it capsized, detailing his harrowing experience.
I had no control of anything, so essentially at that point, she just plowed into the sound. When this occurred, once I was on my side, I was in deep water. I wasn't out of the channel yet. Everything was happening very rapidly, but I was seeing it very slowly and kind of looking at life through a straw.
His testimony came today as federal investigators wrapped up the first week of public hearings into the disaster.
Captain Jonathan Tennant has been called a hero for his decision to intentionally ground the Golden Ray, keeping it out of the main shipping channel. News4 Jax reporter Maggie Lorenz listened in on the nearly 3 hours of virtual testimony. So Maggie, Captain Tennant said nothing was out of the ordinary leading up to the catastrophic capsize.
He said it was just another day at work. Everything was normal. There were no communication problems. And we heard today he has piloted more than 5,000 ships in his career. Now, the role of a harbor pilot is to steer the ships in and out of the harbors. They climb on board, take charge as the ships come into port since they are experts in their local waterway. But as experienced as Tennant was, he had no idea what was about to unfold during the dark morning hours of September 8th, 2019. The 20,000-ton Golden Ray capsized in seconds. Harbor pilot Captain Jonathan J.T. Tennant clung to a large navigation compass to keep from falling, and in those moments, it was as if time stood still.
I experienced more of a slow motion time where everything was happening very rapidly, but I was seeing it very slowly and kind of looking at life through a straw.
The Golden Ray had just left the Georgia docks and was making its first hard turn to starboard in the St. Simons Sound when it started to topple. Up until that point, Tennant says everything was normal. There were no issues with the crew or ship, and they had favorable weather. As he starts to make the turn, he says the ship immediately took off to starboard more than he has ever experienced. He applied counter rudder to stop the turn and had no idea he was about to capsize moments later.
I asked the captain, Captain, what is going on? Thinking that maybe he had some insight onto this behavior, this uncharacteristic behavior.
It was right then that he lost control. Tennant then immediately radioed into a nearby harbor pilot he was worried might hit them.
And said to Jamie on the inbound, "Watch out, Jamie, I'm losing her," in which time she capsized.
As the ship toppled, Tennant swung the rudder all the way to the port side to get the Golden Ray out of other ships' paths. He grounded the ship on a sandbar just as the rudder came out of the water, a heroic feat. But he knew he was still against a time bomb as the tide was coming in and could dislodge the ship from the sandbar. A tug sped out and pushed on the hull to keep it aground. The next few hours were continued chaos, but ultimately the 23 souls on board were saved. Through these 5 days of proceedings, the Coast Guard still has not said why it suspects the ship overturned, but the hearing will continue through September 30th. Separate from the investigation, a multi-agency command has spent the past year making plans to carve the ship into 8 giant chunks to be hauled away by barges. Officials hope to begin the first cut sometime next month. Joy.